followers and fellow flight simmers. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. And this is a review slash tutorial video of the recently released Flysimware Cessna 414 Chancellor. This aircraft is released yesterday, and I wanted to record a review slash tutorial video to share my opinions about this aircraft and whether you should think about this to add this to your virtual hangar, or whether you should wait for the other aircraft that are close to being released and in development currently, such as the Milvis Cessna 310 or others that are in the streamline and announced to be in beta by their respective developers. This is going to be fairly a longer video than my usual ones, because there is a lot of ground to cover. Therefore, grab something to drink, like a cup of coffee, tea, whatever you prefer. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Also, if you stumbled upon this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button. If you are already a channel subscriber, I appreciate and very thankful for your continued support and joining me in this journey of becoming a content creator for Microsoft Flight Simulator for the last a year and a half. Again, as I said at the beginning, this is going to be a little bit longer video than usual, but I'll try to cover as much detail as I possibly can so that you can make an informed decision about this aircraft and see if it is a fit for you. But also, I'd like to mention this aircraft is released as a beta aircraft, so if it's not the final release, and anything you see in this video might change or will most likely change in the near future as the developer goes through the development cycle and adds the missing functions and whatnot. But I will also point out to the missing functions and some bugs that are reported by the flight sim community to let you guys know what those are and how it's affecting the aircraft, and share my personal opinion in relation to the price tag of this aircraft. Anyway, I think this is enough opening talk. Let's jump into the cockpit and take a look at this aircraft and what it has to offer. Welcome to the cockpit of Cessna 414 Chancellor, friends. Interesting aircraft. I was reading the history of it. I think this aircraft was built for US market only. Therefore, it only supports the US imperial system in these gauges. So if your simulator is set to metric system, you will most likely not get correct gauge readings, especially for the fuel gauge and other stuff. So keep that in mind, that this is imperial system only, and if your readings are not correct, that is most likely why, including I think the altitude is also affected from that too. The other thing is this aircraft has a pressurized cabin, which means it can climb to higher altitudes. The service ceiling, I believe, for this aircraft is 30,000 feet, and it can go up to 25,000. No problems due to having a pressurized cabin and oxygen supply. In the sim, I have only climbed up to 20,000 feet on a little test flight, which doesn't involve landing. It was just takeoff, climb, and a little bit of cruise to see how it's working. And 20,000 feet, no problem. Anyway, what we will do here is we'll go through the panels, the instruments and other things to go over it and explain what is what, So we have the left console, left circuit panel over here. We have the pilot's panel, navigation panel in the middle, engine panel at the top, and co-pilot panel on the right hand side. And also in the manual, this section behind the yoke is called the lower panel, which includes or contains the pressurization system. Pressurization system, yes. Sorry, pronunciation. English as a second language, I guess. Anyway, so what we will do is we will start from left and then make our way to the right and discuss what each one of these are and check the functions and what is simulated and what is working, what is not working. Let's start with the left console and jump into the pilot's seat. I have set some camera views to make it easy to display, and let's get rid of the yoke because we have to see behind here too. On this side you have your master switches for alternators and battery master. Your M meter and M meter selector knob is here. Boost pumps or fuel pumps are here. Engine, left engine starter, right engine starter, engine primer, and the magneto switches for both engines, left, right, left, right. The circuit breakers does not work. They are not clickable, they don't pop. I am not sure if they are planning to bring this function, and you know, like the Milvis Cessna 414 that they announced that it will have also failures built in. I'm not sure Flysimware has plans around that because I wasn't able to find a development roadmap for this aircraft in their website. So expect anything. This might get modeled and become functional. This might not even get anything and just stay static like this. And although, you know, making them functional is one thing, and making them part of a developed interesting word, failure system, or a failure system that's developed by the developer, not the Microsoft Flight Simulator's native aircraft failures, that might require you to pop in some circuit breakers if they pop out due to a failure or whatsoever. So without that, even if they work, the usage in the sim is like zero, at least for me, in my personal opinion. Let's go down a little bit and pan the view to take a look at what we have here. So cabin heat, stall and vent heat, and pitot heat and avionics master switch are in this row of switches, and the cabin fan high-low setting is back there. These do work. You'll see the cabin fan blowing and the cabin heat. You can turn it on, but you are not carrying any passengers. There is no simulation that tells you how comfortable your passengers are, so these are just switches that you can click at this point. Stall heat and pitot heat, they do work, and obviously avionics bus needs to work to provide power to the avionics. Up here you have the anti-ice switch. Oh, this is the electrical anti-ice. Prop anti-ice again. These are all operational. This is a three-way switch, by the way, high and low setting for the electrical anti-ice system. The ice light and surface de-ice, which you can turn on or reset. Right now the arrows, as you see, pointing up, but the switch goes pointing forward, but this switch goes back when I click. So this is a reported bug with the switches and how the arrow is displaying the switches. On this row of switches you have the anti-collision light, which is the beacon, and strobe, little nav lights, your taxi light, and landing right, again a three-way switch where you turn it on or retract by keeping the switch at the bottom position. This bar and these three switches, as I said, are battery left and right alternator switches, and we have discussed about the top switches. Nothing else to be seen here other than circuit breakers and things that are not clickable or in-up at this point. Alright. You can open the windows. We'll go and talk about that too. There's a click spot here to unlock the window, and then you hold and drag to open this triangular window. It has some nice built-in squeak sounds due to being old. You can bring it back and lock, and there is a click spot over here which will bring in the EFB that this aircraft has. As you see, you have a couple options here about the aircraft, like the equipment, like chocks, engine plugs that are outside, the doors, including the cargo compartment doors, and the maintenance is fuel caps, oil, hydraulic reservoir, and engine doors, which we will look. You can see the engine here. Aircraft states, ready for takeoff, start, or cold and dark. Rudder lock, which we will take when we go outside, and then you can display or remove a co-pilot. This power button turns the tablet off, and when you click to the camera of this iPad looking tablet, it will disappear from here. This is the control lock. You can bring it in and you can remove it by using this click spot. And that concludes the left console, I guess. Let's move on to the pilot's instrument panel. You have the faults initiation. The test works, but we need to have the battery on, which we will look at it. Let's just talk about it for now, and let's not worry about the operation and the tests that you can do. But the test for this works and all the switches light up. Outside air temperature, this is in Fahrenheit and Celsius, so you can use both. This is a Daltron clock that you can set. You can use it as a counter, and it has function to display the Zulu time or local time, and you have to set it up. We will talk about this when we get to your airspeed indicator, your horizontal status indicator, your NAV2, CDI, I'm gonna say, course deviation indicator, or actually this also is a horizontal status indicator. This is your flight attitude indicator, so let me correct my terminology. Sorry, I was also trying to read something from the manual, so that's why. Your flight attitude indicator, your horizontal status indicator for NAV2, your VOR or ADF here, which you can switch between 2 ADF radios and 2 VOR radios this aircraft has, and RNAV, which is the GPS if you want to. Your main navigation instrument here that corresponds to GPS or VOR based on your selection over on here on your navigation unit. You can use it unslaved or normal, and that is for the... Okay, hold on, we will talk about, let me see if this is functional. I'm also looking at the manual. So your main HSI is here. Turn and slip indicator over here. You have a DME indicator over here, which also has a test function that can be used. This is a little altitude alert system where you set an altitude and arm, and there is a light at the top of the glare shield which turns on when you are getting close to that altitude. And this version, which has the GNS 530, doesn't capture the altitude automatically. As far as my experience goes, I don't know how the real aircraft does it, but you have to press this button when you reach to that altitude, and then it will hold the armed altitude, the one that you set here. has 3 digits, so that's 10,000, 20,000. So this is 10,000s, thousands, hundreds, and then you cannot change anything here. And this is the arm button to arm it. Vertical speed indicator, your altimeter, flight mode selector for the autopilot. And we'll come to here later on, and this absolute altitude gauge as well, but let's keep going and move on to the co-pilot panel. On this side of the business, you have the fuel quantity gauge. This is in gallons and pounds, so the blue text is gallons, the white text is pounds of fuel you have. This is your prop de-ice indicator, airspeed indicator, flight attitude indicator, altimeter, your heading indicator, engine hour counter, and vertical speed indicator over on this side. And in the middle, we have the navigation and engine panels, and we will talk about those now. Here, engine RPM gauge, engine manifold pressure, which has 2 needles for raised and left engine. Same deal for this guy here, which is the RPM gauge. The one here is a fuel computer, which calculates the fuel you have on board and the fuel burn, and displays how much flight time you got left, how much fuel you got left in the tanks, and that type of thing. I haven't tested the accuracy of this thing, but this is independent from in-sim weights and balances, so you have to set the amount of fuel you have, and then it will function correctly. If you don't, you will see a low fuel warning here, which will start showing out of nowhere, and you might just start thinking, where did it came from? Is it a bug? But it's not bugged. It is how this system is coded and modeled. So it doesn't tie to the in-sim weights and balances page. So this is independent, and you have to set this correctly as the pilot to get correct readings. On this side, your exhaust gas temperature gauge for left and right engine, and 2 temperature gauges and pressure gauge for left and right engine, oil pressure at the top, cylinder temperature on the left side, and oil temperature on the right side. Down below, your classic GNS 530. This, I think, is the weather radar, which doesn't work at this point in the sim because of the SDK limitations and not being able to custom code, I guess, by the developer, but hopefully this is something in the roadmap that will come later on. Your audio panel is here, the COM1, COM2, and COM3, and whether you want to use the headset or speakers, all these switches are clickable, but I don't know if it will make any difference how you hear the sounds. I haven't tested that part. All right. This is the navigation GPS switch, which you will switch between Nav1 and GPS. And the other one is the annunciation switch for LRN, which is not simulated, and this is a switch that controls the brightness to dim or bright. This is the Nav2 radio, and it's an RNAV and NAV radio, but RNAV is not simulated, so you only get to use conventional VOR DME with this. I don't know if they will ever simulate RNAV. We will see about that, but this also displays the bearing and distance to that selected station. On this side, you have the transponder, very, I think, 70s, 80s type transponder, which has ident, altitude reporting, test switch on, standby, and off. It's currently turned off. Up here is your COM radio, and then your ADF is here. So this has COM1 and this is COM2. I'm not sure where COM3 is because there is a COM3 switch here, and I don't know if this aircraft has a third radio. I'm at least not able to find a third one. Also, aside from this setup in this aircraft, you can also select the GTN 750 or GTN 750 NXI if you own those. As you may know, the 750 has a freeware version that you can use and change this avionics suite both to do dual GTN 750s if that's something you like. And this selection is done by selecting the appropriate livery that lists the avionics at the title, under the title in the world map menu when you are selecting the aircraft liveries. This is how you can select. There is no change avionics suite option in the EFB. Hopefully they will bring it and carry it into the EFB rather than being a livery selection, because I think this is also going to make it very hard for the livery painters to paint a livery for this aircraft. Or the developer needs to probably release 3 paint kits for the livery painters who likes to also paint the interior as well. Alright, we haven't talked about the pressurization panel, so we will come down there now and we will talk about those. And that will be probably the end of the instruments gauges discussion that we are having right now. So this is the cabin altitude indicator and differential indicator. So it has a smaller needle, as you see. This is the cabin rate of climb, at what rate your cabin pressure is, climbing. This is the suction gauge, and this is the oxygen cylinder gauge. Parking brake down below here. These are the pressurization air controls. And this is the cabin altitude control, which you scroll the dial, starts, if I go to the left, you'll see it starts from 12,000, because below 12,000 you don't need to pressurize the cabin. And it goes all the way up to, if I can scroll this very quickly, I believe it goes all the way up to 30,000, if I am not remembering mistakenly. It goes up to 28,000, so close to 30. Alternate air levers are here. An emergency oxygen pull switch here. This is the cabin door light. And the others are not simulated. There is only one switch that you can use here. On this side, you have the air conditioning controls, the blower, high or low, and whether you want to use the circulation or want to make it cool, that type of thing. As you see, you started hearing, so it's even the batteries are turned off. That's running. I'm not sure if it's correctly simulated or is a bug that was missed by the developer. We'll talk about the pedestal when we come there. Your landing gear switch and your landing gear status indication lights are located here, and you have a ground radar here that displays the your minimums, your decision height, in other words. And I haven't tested this, if it has a call out that tells you are at the minimums when you are landing. So this is what that is. On the co-pilot side, there are only a couple knobs and switches. Cabin air switches here that you can pull, and then the temperature settings like right hand warm, left hand warm, and cabin heat switches are here. You also have the flap lever here and a clickable glow compartment that has a flight safety book inside, but you cannot click that. I don't know, in the future this will become something that can be clicked, that will bring the pilot's operating handbook into a window or something. I'm not sure what the developer is planning for this. On the Copilot right side panel, you have more circuit breakers, which are also not simulated at this point. So that concludes the panels, and we'll take a look at the pedestal now. Your standard throttle, prop, and mixture controls. Your trim wheel is here, and this is the lighting switches for instrument lights. And if I go a little bit closer, you'll see it has a night and day mode, which will turn the lights on or off, and you can adjust individual brightnesses or dim the lights if you want to. At the lower pedestal, you have the autopilot roll trim, pitch up, pitch down, and turn left, right, autopilot and yaw damper switches. And this is the roll trim and nose trim, I guess. Cowl flap controls are here, and I think this is the roll trim. And there is a autopilot test switch here, which also works. This is an interesting autopilot. If you have seen the videos about the DC-6, this is more or less like the gyro pilot, but an electronic version. So when you turn the autopilot on to pitch and up and down to control your vertical speed, you use this small controller here to pitch down or up to set your vertical speed. And if you want to turn left and right, this is what you use to bank the aircraft to turn left and right. In between the seats, you have your fuel valves and the crossfeed control. So left and right fuel tanks, as well as the crossfeed switch here that you can play with. And that's all about the cockpit. Oh, your compass is here. These are the sun shields or visors. They do work. You can move them around and do different things. I'm not sure if this will be useful during flight. And over here you have some floodlights and cockpit lighting, and at the back of the cabin you have more lights too, which we will see the cabin after here. So that covers pretty much everything in the cockpit and what you have. I think I pointed out what works, what doesn't work, but I think it's better to see this in a flight, so just make sure you see the action when we start the aircraft and go fly a little bit. Alright guys, so this is the cockpit, and I will meet you at the back of the cockpit in the cabin area to discuss the cabin and the functionality. Alright, here we are in the cabin of the Cessna 414, and this aircraft has right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seats, including the one that I'm virtually sitting on right now. But these also can be changed by the weights and balances menu. So let me just move this window to the side for you guys to see. And if I put, passenger 7 in here, as you see, the seat moves, and it changes its position in the cabin. Let's stand here. I'm just trying to control the camera with my keyboard, which is not easy. So bear with me for a second, and I'll turn around and show you what I mean by that. So there's another seat aside from the one I was sitting, so it magically appeared here. So if I make this back to 0, you'll see that that seat goes away, and then this seat goes back, so it slides on these rails. This doesn't change anything as far as I remember. Yep, these are the regular seating, but you can have an extra seat if you want to for a 7th passenger. This all needs to be done by you manually if you want to add some weight and passengers to the aircraft, and as you do so, you see the things changing. Right now we will top off the fuel, and I will show you as you see the aircraft moves as the weight increases, but I will show you how to use the fuel computer when we have power on the aircraft. This might seem a little strange, but there is a mirror at the back, and this mirror also is in the real aircraft too, to make the cockpit feel bigger, or to make the cabin feel bigger, not the cockpit. There is that too. All right, so what I was going to do. Let's move forward a little bit and see if I can turn around to show you guys the other stuff. The doors, there is a click spot somewhere down below that will help you to get the door, or at least the second half of the door with the stairs, and to lock it in place. And the upper piece is operated with a click spot at this handle. So when you click, it will come down, and you can lock it like that. There is a little enter light switch here, which will turn a light on. This is better seen in night conditions, but I'm not gonna do that right now. And clicking here will not do anything. This is to open the door, I believe, but right now it's closed, so it's not gonna help us with anything. Over on this side, there is a table that you can bring out to have some snacks maybe, or a meeting while you are flying as a 1980s businessman, and clicking the table back will just stow it back into place. Armrests do work for the pilot and co-pilot. And now I need to go back there to bring it in. I don't know. Oh, yeah, there it is. But these do not work for the passengers. There are some signs in the cabin, some lighting up there which is controlled. These are reading lights. These are controlled by these switches here. Another table over on this side of the cabin for the passengers who are traveling in these seats. Same deal, and you can stow it back like so. And I think that is all that you can do in the cabin, and it makes sense, and I don't think you will play with those a whole lot while you are in the pilot seat flying this aircraft. Nothing else can be clickable except the lights, as I said, but this is the cabin for you. Alright, let's go back to the cockpit, and I will meet you guys outside to go through the exterior modeling and what this aircraft has. You know, what you can click, what you can open, close outside. Okay, we are back outside, and I'm going to try to move the camera with my keyboard. I wish I brought my Xbox controller and plugged it in, but not right now. If I try to, it scares me that the sim might crash, so let's keep going. The front locker compartments or baggage compartments, whichever you want to call, are operational. This cannot be closed from outside as far as I believe, or tried. Only the tablet controls these. But what's good about having these is, if I move this weights and balances window to the side a little bit, and we don't need to see the CG at this point, nose locker. So if I add weights here, you will see luggages appearing in the compartment. So as I add more, it will add more luggages, and going higher will just fill the entire compartment with, you know, luggages of the passengers, which is good to see. At least you have, you know, luggages modeled in there. And this is also true for the other luggage compartments, and based on the weight, the size of the luggage changes. Like this one being left, if I put 10 pounds in here, it's not gonna bring anything. I think it starts at 50 or 40. 40 brings that one in. If I put a 20-pound bag, then it will remove one of them. If I put 15 pounds, it just stays. If I put 5 pounds, probably it will disappear. So that type of thing. And the max you can put here is, I believe, somewhere around, I don't know. I have to check the manual, but it accepts 100 and it just fills it with suitcases and whatnot. And same is also true for this side, the right engine locker compartment, or right wing locker compartment, and same deal here too. Putting 50 pounds, just a single bag, 100 pounds, it will just fill it completely with textured or with suitcases. And you cannot close this from outside too. There are no click spots. These are all controlled from the EFB. If we go to the engines, you have the option to open the engine covers. Oops, I wish I had a better way of moving the camera. It's just too fast. But you see the internals of the engine modeled, maybe not too high res, too high poly, and I think you would agree that they need to keep the poly count reasonable to have good performance. These are also controlled by the EFB, the hydraulic, no, that's the oil door, I believe, which you can check. That's the oil door. Yep. Over on this side, you'll see the fuel tank door, which is also open, and this is also copied to the other side of the aircraft, to the right wing, and everything you see over there is there. And I think this is the hydraulic reservoir, and that too. No, that's the oil door. This is the hydraulic reservoir, I believe. Going towards the tail of the aircraft, also you have these, remote before flight tags everywhere. They also can be removed from the EFB, the tie downs as well. And there is a tail lock that is locked or unlocked. So this is currently, if I get a little bit closer, you should probably be able to see the sticker. And I need to probably go down a little bit to the left and see if we can read this. Let me get rid of this weights and balances window. So you see, it's locked, and moving it down will unlock this, and this is also controlled from the EFB. So that's the exterior. And one thing I didn't talk, the chocks are also here too. One thing you can do from exterior is you can open the door from outside. At least that's what I have seen in the videos that people published. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not true, maybe that was, I don't know, the snippets that Flysimware released for this aircraft was showing that there are click spots here that you will click and open the doors, and it was shown in the video, but well, seems like I'm not able to do it. Texturing wise, I think this aircraft's textures are nicely done. The only thing I will say, maybe not a complaint but maybe a wish, is that this looks a lot weathered, or there's a lot of wear and tear on this aircraft. I wish they have offered an option to have something that's looking like it came out of the factory yesterday. But aside from that, all the latches, all the weathering, paint chips, everything is modeled nicely. The prop looks great. The covers, the chocks, undercarriage, the wheels, wheel carriage and wheel links, everything looks nicely modeled. Like, look at the texture quality here. It's not pixelated, you can read it, and it also has that, that texture, you can feel like this is not flat. It has some 3D look to it, such as the real thing, because those letters are sewn on these tags that are hanging on the pedo tubes here. As I said, undercarriage, the gear links and everything here is high quality. And when we go inside, I'll show you. It also has an pre-flight controls, camera locations in the EFB that you can click and come and control do your pre-flight inspections. Though in the simulator you'll probably do it a couple times, or if it's a content creator, they will just do it for simulating what's done in the real life. But most of the time, if you are flying at your home and want to be in the air as soon as possible, you will not do those, especially if the developer doesn't bring any failures into this aircraft that requires you to check those things. It's just useless to go through that every time you are trying to fly in a simulator. That's my personal opinion. So we'll jump back into the cockpit, take a look at the EFB, and I'll show you those. And we will also take a look at a couple options that I haven't shown so far. Welcome back to the cockpit. Now we are in the pilot seat, we have the EFB, and one thing I haven't shared is the GPU. So this aircraft also has a ground power unit that is super loud. It looks like it's a diesel or gas powered generator that sits outside right here, as you see. The cable is attached to the aircraft and it provides power so that you don't drain your batteries, because yes, that's simulated, the batteries drain if you sit on battery power for too long. So that is that. I'm gonna try this one more time to see if I can click the doors, but I cannot. So that's the GPU, ground power unit, and we can go ahead and maybe just remove these and show you guys how the aircraft looks without those. And we can close the doors from here, as I said, and the fuel and oil doors and the engine doors as well, and the rudder lock, we can just unlock the rudder. Alright, so this is how she looks when everything is remote and getting flight ready, except the ground power unit. I think it's fair to say, yes, these are good things to have, but not everybody will use it all the time. This aircraft requires some failure simulation, some maybe passenger simulation, like demonstrated by Milviz for their Cessna 414, which will have a passenger simulation built in, and you have to keep your passengers happy by adjusting the cabin temperature and turning on the fans, turning on the AC, whatever. So it is nice to have those things when you are flying. It just adds to the immersion, and without those, there needs to be something. We'll talk about the price of this aircraft at the end, but with that price there needs to be something to justify that price. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let's go back inside now, because we are probably ready to start the aircraft. Let's close that too. Oh, the EFB has multiple pages. Yes, let's go through this. So there is a page that is probably going to be useful to get the temperatures, pressure, and the barometric pressure and whatnot. Also the wind information and the wind speed display, like the headwind, tailwind, and crosswind components will be displayed here when you are up in the air. The next page is the one I'm talking about, to do your pre-flight inspections, and it starts with an order like 1, 2, 3. As you see, 1, 2, you start from here, 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, and then 2, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 3, A, B, C, G, D, E, F, G, and so on and so forth. We'll take a look at 1, because when you click to A. It's not taking you anywhere. It was oh, there you go. It takes you to exterior view that was preset by the developer. And to go back to the interior view, you have to press the camera button that you set for your cockpit view, if you have one, or control space to move to the default camera position. A didn't work. F works to check the, you know, gears and whatnot, everything here. So you can see it's detailed, it's done. Maybe there is something coming that will make use of this. So this, I'm assuming, is not here for nothing, like to jump outside and take a look at a 3D model of an aircraft that will not have any failures that you will not catch. Hopefully this will just bring in something that you have to be careful about in the future. And also there are some checklists at the bottom. This is not functional yet, but I'm thinking this is also coming and in the works. Pre-flight, before starting engines, so on and so forth. And I'm still hearing the GPU. Let's get rid of that thing. It's too super loud. Sorry about that, guys. And let's get rid of the tablet. Aside from that, I think there's nothing else on that tablet. We will carry out the startup, cold and dark startup procedure for this aircraft. This checklist, the in-game checklist, by the way, works. It's quite detailed. I will not go through this. This will make this video like triple the time that we have used so far. But it also points you to where you should be looking, such as the control locks and parking brake. So it's good to see that this part is at least done to a high quality level, so that you just see the circuit breakers and the switches that you need to be aware of when you are doing the pre-flight startup. So this, let's check and move this to the battery. So the battery is not draining right now. Oxygen quantity is here, it's sufficient, so it's topped off. I don't know if this is simulated when you climb to a higher altitude and starts dropping. We have to test that too. I haven't done that yet, or at least I haven't flown long enough to test that. But yeah, so these are all the things that you can do, but we will just carry out a simple startup procedure where we just turn the master battery to on, and we'll also turn the nav lights to on. As you see, the battery amps are displayed, voltage is displayed too, alternators are not generating anything, and our battery is okay for the time being. The next step is to turn on our fuel tank selector switches to right and left main, like so, and we'll go back to here. Sorry about that view problem. And you see the annunciations, and I told that I will show the tests, so that's one of the tests that works here. We will carry out the others. Marker beacon light tests, so this is the outer, middle and inner beacons, and it's audible sound. But let's go and keep going. Turn the pumps on. They are kind of loud. Look at that, like you're probably hearing this. Super loud. Super loud. Anyway, the magnetos, we'll turn them on. Fuel primer, and it will even get louder. So this has been reported too, like these pumps, auxiliary pumps, are super loud. I'm not sure if they are this much audible in the cockpit. We'll prime the left engine first. By the way, to do that we need to bring the mixture and prop RPM to full forward, and now we can do it. We'll crack open the throttle. I am using my quadrant, so I'm not gonna go back to the pedestal. And let's open the window to hear the engine sound, for you guys to listen to it, and press the starter button. And the engine comes to life. You'll see the manifold pressure and RPM. And we will prime the right engine and engage the starter. and you have to keep this pressed. It takes a while until the engine kicks in. So it is also running. Let's close the window and let's silence these pumps because they are a little bit annoying, if you ask me. Alright, so let's jump outside. You are hearing the sound, so I think these sounds are okay, but I think my personal opinion, they need some improvements, because you hear some weird transition when you hearing that deep sound. I don't know if it's true to life. Anyway, anti-collision is now on. We started the engines, but this aircraft doesn't come with strobe and anti-collision at the same time, so there is no rotating beacon. That's what I'm trying to say. And anti-collision is basically going to turn your strobes on, so we don't turn that on for engine start. And the last thing we need to do is turn the alternators on so that the battery starts charging, and you see low voltage warning here started to display because I was not fast enough to turn the alternators on. And from here on we'll turn the avionics on. So one thing about the fuel meter is that this says it will come on when the battery master is on. It doesn't. You have to turn the avionics on for this to start displaying information. And the first thing this will display is the function and the gallons remaining. So when you press the function, it is gonna go to fill up, which we topped off the fuel, remember? This is how you do this. So it's now at the fill up mode, and you will enter and it will display the gallons remaining after you fill it up. 206 gallons. And if you look at here, 200, almost 206 gallons here. So that is correct. And this also displays the gallon per hour, pounds remaining, time remaining, so we can idle on the ground for almost 10 hours. And gallons used, so for now we just burned 1.3 gallons of fuel, and there is a digit that's, I don't think if it should be there or not, but these are things that will probably get fixed with updates. Pounds used here, and then this is the timer where it shows what time this started to monitor your fuel usage and go back to gallons remaining. EGT, T's and P's, cylinder temperatures are not hot. We probably need to idle around 1400 feet in this aircraft. I'm not sure. There was no information on the idle setting to generate enough cooling as well as power to keep the batteries charging. So that's pretty much how you start this aircraft. From here on you can use GNS 530 to plan a flight. In our case, I have a flight plan that goes from VOR to VOR. We are currently at one of the handcrafted airports in this World Update 8, Lima Echo Sierra Uniform, and if I can pronounce this word, La Ciudad de Urgel Airport. Okay, so we are there, and our destination is Madrid in Spain, and we will be doing a conventional navigation flight going from VOR to VOR. We will be departing off runway, I think, let me check the runway information here, guys, on my flight plan that I have. We will be departing runway 21. We'll check the wind information using the EFP, but I think it should be fine. And we will just tune the first VOR station we have, which is Huesca VOR Hotel Uniform Echo, and the frequency is 114.5. So we will use the nav radio of the Garmin and tune to 11. Oops. Did I clicked? 4.5. That is the frequency. I'm not sure if we will start picking that up. And the course to that VOR is 258, so we'll set the course to 258, which is roughly there. And we will use the other one as a standby for NAV2 for more situational awareness, because that's a lot more away than the VOR we are going to track at the beginning of our flight. And the next one is 112.8, which we will probably tune here. Frequency 112.8, and then enter. Or 0.80 maybe. One, 280, enter. Alright, that is the NAV2, and nothing else over here works, so you just tune and then it will display the bearing and the distance. And this is just the keyboard part which is functioning. We'll set ourselves for probably 25,000 feet. That's how you set this, 25,000, and we'll turn on our DME for NAV1, which will also display, and you can switch between NAV1 hold and 2. So this has the DME hold 2, which we will discuss how to use it. Up and down switches moves it, and there is a test function that displays all the numbers of this segmented displays to make sure it's working. This one does not seem to have a test function, so I don't know if that is something that will come to that second unit back there. This does have a test function which will display everything you see there, so that's good. Our transponder will tune in 1071 as our squawk code and turn it to standby, and there is a test button that lights the light. That's what it does. We'll increase the cabin air and cabin temperature a little bit. It's cold outside, although there is no passenger simulation, or it doesn't make any difference. And as you see, this switches between nav and GPS, and you'll see the flag moving nav there, and the glide slope, we haven't done that yet. We are departing from, as I said, runway 210. Oh, 21, I'm sorry, not 210, and the heading is 210. That's what I was trying to say. So let's set the runway heading here. It should be that. And anything else I forgot to set? I don't think so. I was not able to find a way to increase the brightness of the 530. So I'm not sure if any of you knows how to do this. I'm not able to do it, so, and there is no brightness switch here. So not sure, and there was nothing under the menu too, so I'm not able to tune the brightness or increase the brightness of this thing. The other warnings, these are not part of that test. Oh, they are part of the test, as you see. All the lights in the cockpit turn on when you press the test. Takeoff trim, we'll set it to takeoff, and all the T's and P's are looking good, though the left engine cylinder temperature is not in the green, but that's probably because we are still on the ground. Oil temperature and oil pressure looks good. All fuel quantity, it's topped off. RPM is idling, and we will carry the run-up checks here. Engine run-up. Oh, we have to set the pressurization panel to 25. That's set now. And this switch, depressurize, pressurize, that selects between, so during descent you have to move this to depressurize the cabin as you descend into lower altitudes. Alright. alternators are working. Battery is still draining a little bit. Not sure if the alternators are not generating enough power, but the low voltage light is gone, so I think it's charging at this point. Okay, so engine run up, yes, that's what I was going to do. We'll go and increase the RPM to 1500, and that's about 20 inches of manifold pressure. There we go. Oh, that's a little bit too much. Let's come back a little bit. Maybe 19 inches then for 1500. And we'll do a prop governor check, which doesn't work on the ground. So if I pull back on the RPM, prop RPM, nothing happens. So that's a bummer. This is a bug. That's not working. We'll do a mag check. So left engine, turn one of the mags off, and we are expecting the RPM to drop, which it doesn't. And I want to make sure I'm doing this right. Oh, one other thing is the developer is recommending you go to assistance options, aircraft systems, and turn auto mixture on for this to work properly. There is an Asoba bug that causes this for the turbocharged engines, so that's maybe why the mag check didn't work. But right now it's auto mixture, so your mixture levels will do nothing. But let's see if the mag check works. There we see a slight drop, so on the left engine, which means it is working. And we see the same, but the EGT is not increasing. I think with mag check, when you turn the mag off, the EGT needs to go up, so that's not simulated. We'll continue with the right mags, and we'll see an RPM drop, slight drop there, and slight drop there. So the mags are working. Again, prop governor check we cannot carry out because it's not working. Hopefully it will get fixed. We did the mag check, prop governor we can't. And yeah, oh, the cowl flaps, we can check the cowl flaps and see if we will see an RPM drop when we increase in the temperature rather. So the engine is running quite hot right now anyway, and I'm not sure if this is simulated. I'm not seeing any difference whether the cowl flaps are on or off. There is no carb heat, I believe, that I can test. But yeah, so let's bring the engines back to 1000 RPM idle power. And you're hearing this sound, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Alright, we will idle around 1000, or where the green band starts. I think that's where we should be idling, 1200 RPM, so that the engine is cooled enough. As you see, our oil pressure is not in the green anymore, so it's past green. Right, friends, this is the general review, cockpit panels and functions of the Flysimware Cessna 414 Chancellor. I think we will just do the full flight in the next video, because it's gonna take super long if I keep recording, and I'd like to stop here and hope you guys will be waiting for the second episode to see this aircraft in action, to see what's working, what's not, and if it can fly properly, how the flight model looks like, and that kind of thing. Again, thanks for being here with me in this review video, and I will be seeing you in the next video.